everyone. It's time for another edition of Featured Teachers brought to you by the American TESOL Institute. I'm your host, Jason Levine, better known as Fluency MC. I have the honor and privilege of hosting this really cool webinar series for English language teachers around the world. Each month, we bring in a teacher who has inspired other teachers and learners, who is inspired by them as well, doing great things in ELT. And today I have the pleasure to introduce to you Ogba Ikerie, who is a friend of mine and a colleague, a teacher, a trainer, a materials writer based in Cotonou, Benin, in Benin, West Africa. And I'm excited to have you with us, whether you're here live or watching the recording, to check out our conversation. We're going to talk about free access to books as the main topic. I don't want to say anything about that. We'll explain when we start talking. But as you can see, promoting literacy in young English learners, this is perhaps the greatest passion, I'm pretty certain, we'll ask him, that Ogba has, but he does a lot of different things, other things, and we are collaborating. He and I, we've been collaborating for a couple years now. I'm going to be going to Benin in a few weeks, so I'm going to see him. So this is something else I wanted to talk about. So really happy to be here with you for Featured Teachers and to talk about free access to books, promoting literacy in young English learners. Hello, Ogba. Welcome to Featured Teachers.
Hello, Fluency MC. It's a pleasure to be here.
Really, it's
pleasure.
You know, I have this a really great job because each month I'm with somebody special. In this case, it's somebody also that I work with closely. So that's a wonderful thing, and I want to talk about that. But first of all, could you just briefly introduce yourself? What do you mainly do now? Like, what in your job as an educator, what are you doing now? Let's start with that.
Okay, thank you, Fluency MC. Like I said, it's a pleasure for me to be here live with you. My name is Ogba Ikerie, and I am an EFL teacher, trainer, and material writer. I teach in Benin, mostly with primary school students. Mm-hmm. I also do other things besides teaching. I'm also into e-commerce.
Okay, but I noticed that. I've noticed that you're doing kind of connecting them a little. I wanted to ask you about that. Yes. When you say teaching primary schools, is it one school or do you work in different primary schools?
What I do here, I am an EFL consultant. I work with many schools. Actually, I'm collaborating with more than 40 schools.
Amazing.
40 primary schools.
And what do you do with these collaborations?
Okay, what I do is these are French-speaking schools. Mm-hmm. Benin is a French-speaking country. And these schools are doing English language like 1 hour, 2 hours per week. Mm. So what I do with these schools, I'm in partnership with them to run their English activities, the English classes, to manage their English classes. So I recruit teachers, I train them, I design materials, then I send them to these various schools. We organize more than 500 classes every week.
Amazing. So you mean
more than 500 classes every week? Yeah.
So primary schools where they don't have English teachers or English programs, and you're bringing everything, or they have something and you are supporting it, or it's both? Depends.
It depends. Some schools, they come with their teacher.
Okay.
Then I will just need to train them, and because we have a materials. Of course, we collaborated together to design teaching resources. So some of these schools, when they come to us, some of them they come without teachers. Some will come with their own teachers. So in any way, how they come, I will prepare the teachers, show them how to use the materials, and if they come without teachers, I have teachers. I have a lot of teachers working with me. So I will send teachers to them to teach in their schools.
And these are classes during the day and also English clubs. They're two different things, correct? Like
it's two.
You do both.
Yeah, it's two different things.
Okay.
We have activities that is going on during the school time, during the school program. And we have also after school activity, which we are doing at my center here.
Yeah. Okay. So you're bringing the kids. So some of those kids are also coming to you at your center, and that's Yell Club.
Yell Club. Yes.
Excellent. Right. Which is really great program that you have. So what do you feel is the most important contribution you make? Like, what is it the training? Is it the materials? What do you think is the most important thing you do to help these schools?
Okay, I can say both the training and the resources.
Okay.
Because here in Benin is at the early stage of introducing English language at the primary level.
Right.
And due to they are at this stage, they are in shortage of teachers who know how to teach primary school students. And another area is on the resources. The resources, because most of the resources the schools are using here are resources designed for students, for children who have a strong background knowledge in English, like students, like children from Nigeria, Ghana. These are English-speaking country.
Right.
So using a material, using this type of material to teach students coming to school with zero knowledge is overwhelming.
Of course. So, and do you also have issues with literacy in French also? Because if the students are not so literate in their first foreign language, then it's really hard to build literacy on top. Is that sometimes a problem also, or are most of the kids have literacy in French when you work with them?
Yes, majority of them have a very strong vocabulary already in French.
Okay, so that's not a big problem.
It's not a big problem.
Okay.
Problem.
Okay. Yeah, but it's really just I'm always so excited to talk to people working with primary students, because in France, where I work, I'm actually in the United States right now, but I work in France, and as you know, and most people watching probably know, I do shows with kids in middle schools and high schools. I don't do very many shows with primary school students in France. However, in the past, when I traveled more before COVID, in countries like Poland, Italy, Spain, I did shows with primary students, and it's so much more important to work with kids at that age, whether it's classes or activities, because when I go to a middle school or a high school in France, their level is often very low because they didn't get the fun repetitive activities that when you do at a primary level. You arrive at middle school and then you can do that curriculum. So they're trying to take middle school kids and high school kids, give them a curriculum. It's a little bit like you're saying, maybe the materials that aren't appropriate, like that are for a Nigerian student or Ghanaian student, like trying to give them tasks that are just too difficult and overwhelming. So either they're bored, they're stressed, there's something, right? It doesn't work so well. So I'm happy if I can help a little bit. But I always tell people, the best thing, if you do it at the primary level, you don't need me at the middle school level. and the high school level, because then the
Of
kids
course,
are
they will still need you. They will still need you because if you are not there, you remember when you leave this language. When you leave this language for some time, it might also leave you.
okay.
So they
That's true.
need to continue. They need to continue it. So
Well,
definitely,
also, and I don't want to talk so much about what I do, but just last thing. I mean, when I go to a school in Poland, Italy, Spain, high school, for example, and their level is much higher than a high school in France, I have songs and materials that are more, critical
advanced.
thinking, more right. So
Oh,
you never stop using music, and it's just the level is different. But since we're talking about music now, I want to just tell everybody the reason we connected, Ogba and I originally, was a shared interest in songs for kids, poetry, rhyme, and two things that I didn't focus on as much. Ogba focuses on. I want you to tell us about it. One is using songs with young learners. I mentioned I do some primary schools, but most of my stuff is middle school, high school. And the other thing is Ogba is very interested in gestures.
yes.
So if in storytelling, it's often called TPR, total physical response. In songs, it's a little bit like that, but it's not exactly the same. But I always felt in my videos, I was trying to bring images that would help people remember language. But I personally didn't do so much with gestures. I have a couple songs, turn it on, turn it off, take it off, put it on. But you've done so much with that. So can you tell us first, how did you start doing that? What was it that made you think, oh, I want to use chant songs and I want to use gestures to help my students interact with the language?
Okay, this started when I begin teaching. I noticed that whenever I'm using song, and as I sing, also trying to use gestures to help them to understand, I noticed that the class became quiet. When you are teaching and the class is quiet, you know that the students are receiving the
Very
the
interesting.
the lesson. They are absorbing it because they are kind of watching a television. So it's a kind of watching a television. So I noticed that this captivates the attention. It captures the attention. So, and I also begin to think of, okay, these gestures, don't just want to use gestures just to use gestures. I want to use a meaningful gestures. So when you use a meaningful gestures, for example, when you sing, I see a cat, and you show your finger like this, like a cat. I see a dog. You see that? If you sing and try to help them to understand with pictures, by the time you come tomorrow and you want to sing the song again, you will not need more translation, because as soon as you say, I see a cat, they will call, oh, this is a cat. I see a dog. So it's really, and also the most interesting aspect of this thing is that is like children naturally they like to move. So it's like exploiting children's nature to teach them.
Yes.
Even at home, sometimes I will receive calls from parents asking me, "Oh, what's going on?" Since my child came back from school, you keep on shouting, "I see a cat, I see a dog acting out."
It's not just the language isn't just stuck in their heads; the movements are stuck in their bodies.
Yes, and don't forget that the gestures make a very strong impression on students' brain memory. It helps them to remember the words.
Of course.
So easily. It's different than just standing and singing the song without moving. Just singing like you're singing. It's good, but when you add gestures to it, it's fun. It helps students to record the vocabulary and it accelerates the learning process.
Of course. And when you say that they're, watching like television and their attention is so focused, I think there are two ways to understand that. One way is just like, oh, the way they think, oh, this is cool, this is interesting. But the other thing that's going on is the brain is kind of like, oh, this is what I need to remember.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so like something happening.
Those little ones, they are easily distracted. I mean, when you are working with the little ones, so using these gestures keep them focused. They will just keep their eyes hanging out like a kind of their, what am I seeing? Is it a television or what? You
Yeah,
know, they kind
yeah,
of they're not used to seeing teachers dancing, acting
yeah,
in this part of the world, because
yeah,
here teachers have to be very serious.
yeah,
Uh, but here, you know, when they see a teacher that is acting fun,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
in fact, it's have been amazing actually. So when
That's
I
great.
notice, when I discover this, I begin to improve it. I begin to improve it.
Yeah, so that's a good time to ask this question then. So,
Mm.
how has it changed and developed? Like you recognize this worked, but then you've been it's evolved. Like what have you done along the way? Like what changes have you made and that have improved it?
Okay. You know, like the gestures, I won't say that the, my main focus, especially when I'm using gestures, is to make sure that I'm using a meaningful gestures,
Mm-hmm.
you know, meaningful gestures,
Mm-hmm.
and I what the improvement that I have added to it is trying to focus on performing the songs
Mm-hmm.
that are uh, mostly the song that contain mostly critical words, like basic words.
Okay.
You
So
know,
you
because
mean
yeah,
like it's not the gestures approach that's changed, but more the content. Like you've
yes,
made
the
better
content
content.
exactly. Like
And
some
I
of the
noticed
songs.
also, and we're going to get to the free access to books idea. Also, the reading and the writing of the lyrics, I
Mm,
feel hasn't that evolved? Like I've seen early videos and then other videos where it seems the students are doing much more with writing. So and then and reading and writing is that how does that connect? I guess is my question. Like how does reading because you could do it just only oral, right? You do a chant about pets. I have a dog. You have a
yes,
cat,
yes, yes,
and they don't
yes.
read anything. So how does the reading come in, and then and the writing, and then maybe from there we can talk about literacy development.
Okay, you know, when you sing, that is your student will listen orally. They will listen orally. But when after the singing, and you have them go through the test, I mean, following, identifying the test word by word, it's more like a visual anchor.
Yeah. So I don't want us you to stop. I just want to
Mm,
make sure I clarify. So
mm.
you always introduce the song without the words first. I mean,
No, yes,
oh,
yes, the song, like we are having fun. We sing the song.
generally that's the way they hear the song first.
Yes, yeah, they
Like in
hear the
real
song
life.
first.
Also, like in
Exactly,
real life,
exactly,
if you hear a
exactly,
song on the radio or someone plays a song that they wrote,
exactly.
you are not reading the lyrics first. Okay.
Yes. They hear the song, then we talk about the comprehension
Mm. Before they see the
before
words.
they see the words.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So and when they see the words, when they see the words, we we do what we call repeated reading. Repeated reading. It means reading the same text multiple times,
Mm.
but
Reading
in
while
different
listening.
ways.
Reading while listening or just
While
reading?
they read, no, no, it's
Reading.
first of all when we sing the song, uh, uh, we talk about the comprehension, and now we sing the song again. They will trace the words along as we sing
Oh,
the song.
with the words.
Yes, they trace. They have to listen. They have to listen many times and read along.
Yeah.
At this stage, we don't necessarily want them to read along. We just want them to follow along
Okay.
the test. So it is
Mm.
multiple practice of reading along. It helps them to be familiar with the sentence
Of course.
structure, the words
It's
before we begin
it's
to.
reading. I mean, but
Yes.
it's better than reading because it's
Mm,
reading when you hear. So,
mm,
sound spelling relationships. I mean, if you only listen,
mm.
it's going to be really hard to be able to spell things and use grammar because you
Yes.
need the
Yes.
visual. But if you
Yes.
only read,
Yes.
then you're
Yes.
not going to understand spoken English because
And another important thing, another interesting thing about singing and later reading is when they sing and read the text and practice the test multiple times. it's a kind of you are giving them these words for life.
Exactly. Well, you know me, man. Relax, repeat, remember. and
Exactly.
that repeat part, if you are relaxed, you want to keep doing it. It's natural.
Yes, it's
You
natural.
know, especially young children. I mean, my big mission is how can I get a middle school or a high school student to say I want to hear it again and again. You know,
Exactly.
young learners generally want to hear things again.
And
Anyway.
you see, you just touch another point here. I also noticed that this adding gestures to these songs, it makes the children to try to read the text multiple times on their own.
Why? I think I have a reason, but I want to know. Why do you think?
I think they enjoy it. I think they enjoy it because I noticed this that each time we introduce a song with gestures and try to introduce them to read it, they would like to be doing it on their own. They even at home they keep on trying to do it on their own, reading it multiple times.
I mean, I think I think it's got to be also just like learning a dance. You want to keep doing it till you perfected it. Like, you know, you can see how the teacher did it. You can see how maybe this student did it. You want to do it that way. So it's a natural, you know, of course you need to hear it again.
Exactly. And because of this, I have introduced a kind of an activity for my teachers, all the teachers that are following our programs. I encourage them that at the end of learning a song, starting from the first day they introduce a song, they have to let the children know that they are learning this song to perform.
Mm.
You see?
So there's there's that motivation also.
Them to it encourages the repetitive pattern.
It also makes it real. I mean, if we're talking about authentic, I mean, and you said, oh, kids, you can just do, you know, activities and role play, but it's never going to be as good as, okay, if they're going to perform it, you're learning English along the way to a performance. Not like this activity is just to make you speak English better or something, right? It's like they're thinking about it more as preparing for the performance, right? Yeah, so important, so important. What age we keep talking about primary student? What age do you usually begin with kids in Benin, and what age do you usually stop with kids?
I can. We begin from right from kindergarten.
Okay.
Right from kindergarten, because anything that have to involve with moving, dancing, those stage, they love it.
Oh yeah.
I even noticed that even secondary school students, college students, secondary school students, after primary, the early stage of secondary students, they also enjoy it.
If you do it the right way, yeah, I agree.
They enjoy it. If you just change the content, if you just change the content that suits their level, they enjoy it. They really enjoy it.
I mean, I think adults even can enjoy it. It's really the content, how you present it. You know, I think, yeah. So let's talk about free access to books. That's what we've entitled this webinar. I think it's a perfect time to talk about it. What does that mean to you? Is that first of all, is that an expression you created? Is it something you saw somewhere and you embraced it? What is this about? Free access to books.
Okay, free access to books to me is really a long story. It's really a long story.
Tell us the story. Tell us the story.
Okay. Before I begin to teach, I was a bookseller. I was selling books. Okay? So when I was selling books, I was going from school to school to school to school to present books to them. Then, because I work with this one American company that very good in children books, and it is through them that I learned that there is a difference between reading for pleasure and reading from a sense of duty. There is two different things.
Absolutely.
When we read for pleasure, we are reading from a strict stance.
Mm.
When we read from a sense of duty, we are reading. It is this kind of reading that we read these are the kind of we are impelled to read it because we want to take information. We are not really reading it because we enjoy reading it.
Mm.
And I noticed that the reading that is most effective is when you encourage children to choose their own books.
Yep.
Okay, there is this William D. Howells. I don't know if you have know the name. He said the books which you read from a sense of duty or because you must does not commonly make friends with you. Which shows that which explain why most adults stop reading when they leave school. You understand? So when I was going through the schools, I noticed that schools over here, let me see this part of the world, they are not making that the pleasure reading to happen. All the reading are focused on textbooks.
Yeah.
Simply means schools are busy raising another generation of adults who is going to hate reading.
Absolutely. And just before you go on, I think anyone anywhere in the world that has understanding of this and the passion that you do and I share will say, oh, it's not so different in my country. I mean, I think it may be more extreme in some countries. Maybe some countries are more open and trying to encourage pleasure reading. But unfortunately, I think it's a problem you see in many parts of the world.
It's really a big problem because imagine I have visited more than 500 schools. I've visited more than 500 schools. I can tell you that out of these 500, it is only like 2 that has a library. So, when I noticed this, it become a kind of a fire burning in my bone because I feel very bad seeing children knowing that. Okay, if you look at this part of the world, we always have a leadership problem. The government have leadership problem, and I am trying to make connection between lack of pleasure reading to leadership problem, because when a child is encouraged to read, to choose books and read, that child will grow up to become smarter, happier, more just, and more compassionate.
Wow.
So that is the spirit, that is the fire, that is how I coin out that word, free access to books.
Amazing. Wow, the connection between that and leadership, I totally see it. I never heard you say it quite like that. I mean, I'm not surprised to hear you say it. I admire you so much for having such. That's so deep, man. It's so deep because I think a word you didn't put in there about the leadership problem is commitment. So what is commitment? Because you can have commitment to the voters, commitment to the country, but those kind of commitments are not the same as commitment to a passion, a commitment to something and that kind of develops only when you have the opportunity to look outside, like the basic, because if you're so focused on the basic structure of society, you're just thinking about your job, your money, your career. You're not thinking about it outside. Is that, am I right? Is that what you?
Yes, you're very right. Very right. I cannot see. I can say that it's kind of a burden. It become when something become a burden to your heart. You are knowing that if this can be done like this, it's really going to make a lot of difference. But it's not happening. So it's begin to disturb your conscience. You need to begin to talk to schools, begin to talk to teachers. Try to encourage them. Why this is very, very important, because we want to develop. We want to develop, and for us to be able to develop, we need to develop the human ability. And
That's right.
Especially if you come to this part of the world, you are going to see the most of the difficulties that we are facing here is lack of good teachers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that, lack of good teachers. So
Mm.
living in an environment like this, if we can take it upon ourselves and give children access to books,
Mm.
I'm sure it's going to solve a lot of problem by teaching,
I
because
think so.
it will help children to learn things on their own
It, it,
without.
it's natural. It's to me very similar to thinking about how can we, if we have this one problem of teachers who are, not very experienced, open-minded, creative, etc. Yes, there's teacher training programs later that can help, and you're trying to do that. It reminds me a lot about English language learners. Like you can go to a high school level and try to help them, but
Yes,
they would be much better if they'd started earlier,
exactly.
having fun with English. So it's similar in that way, I think, right? So it's not that we don't want to help people later, but if we're really going to solve the problem, right, we get kids hooked on English early in a fun way. We get teachers, kids reading books. So if more of them, if they become writers, politicians, teachers, right, they don't need that training as much to think that way. It happens more naturally.
Exactly. Because when children are encouraged to choose their books, it will help them to define their literary criteria and carve out identity for themselves.
Yeah. So free access to books, as I understand it. By the way, it's such a powerful 4 words. Free access to, it compared to pleasure reading. I feel like if you talk about free access to books and then you bring in the idea of pleasure reading, it's more powerful this way, because it's like it's what does free mean? Does it mean like you don't spend money or not? No, it's deeper than that. We're talking about autonomy. We're talking about the freedom to choose. But it's not. It doesn't mean you just have a library and just let kids, right? There's guidance to help. What do you do, like, to make it so that they choose their books for pleasure, but they have some support from you, like, or what do you train your teachers to do to be able to offer some support, but also let them be autonomous and free?
Okay, let me begin like trying to like when we talk about free access to books, without free access to books, it's difficult for pleasure reading to happen, because if there is no books, reading will not happen. Okay, so, and it is also not enough to have a big library filled with books. It's not enough. Someone has to go inside a book and bring the story to life. Understand? So we are also performing books. The way we perform songs, we also I'm teaching teachers to perform books.
So can you give an example of that? This is very important. So this is like the first step. Yes, you're saying performing the book, bringing them inside. Can you give an example of that?
Okay, like when you have books, in a library, a teacher or any other person, an adult, even a fellow student, have to read the story, because some of the time students, they are seeing books, but they don't know that these books are interesting. So someone have to read the book, share the story. You see, so it is through that sharing that spark children interest to try to also find their own books.
And
So
do you? Sorry,
there's this. Okay, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I won't forget.
There is this activity we call book talk.
Okay.
Book talk. It simply means we are doing it here in my center. It simply means sharing a book, but sharing that book, a student will not give out the whole details. It's a kind of
teasing.
It's a kind of teasing, trying to invite other students to try the book, to read the book. So
Great.
when a student is sharing a book and he's trying to give out all the whole details, we have to remind him, remember not to give out the whole
No.
details. Because the objective is to entice them to try it, to come and try it. And
Well,
we notice
and
that each time we
that's a great skill in itself for an older student or something to try to summarize or promote the part.
Yeah.
And if he or she really like that book, then it's very real, the passion. It's not like, right? It's natural for them. They want to talk about it.
Yes, because each time we are doing this book talk, at the end of each book talk, we are going to see that when a book is interesting, we are going to have like up to 5-8 students who raise their hand that they want to read the book.
Yeah, nice.
So it's a way of inviting, and as a teacher, you might not have the time to read all the books. Okay.
Sure.
So the talks is open for everyone.
That's great.
It's also a way of students trying to encourage other students to read a book.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really cool. Yeah. So when I come, I can see this or not? Or is it going to be closed? Yeah.
This time around, we are more of focusing on intensive English classes.
Okay.
This book reading, we do it during the school year.
Okay.
Of course, you are going to see it. You are going to see some part of it.
Oh, I can't wait. And I'd love to do some stuff well, anyway, we'll talk about it, but I have so many ideas, things we can do together. Question I had. Yeah. Are there certain books that you choose for book talks because you feel like, I don't know, you do a needs assessment, most students, because every student's different in certain ways, but are there certain books you feel these are the ones we like to use for book talks because it will spark, right? Or
I'm not going to. Yes, of course, there are books. Like, let's say previous books. What we also do is that when we read the books, we ask students to rate the books.
Okay.
They can rate the books.
Great.
So because I might like a books, a student might not like it. You see,
Sure.
it's like choosing a wife. You might fall in love, might not be the same person that I'm going to fall in love. So books are exactly like that. So that is why what we do is that we have, if you can look behind me, you're going to see a lot of children books, many of them. So we just allow them to give it a try.
Yeah.
They give it a try. So
Yeah,
when they give it a try,
yeah.
We try to be sincere I try to be sincere with children. I want them to only share the book they really enjoy. It's not because you read a book that you have to share it.
Exactly.
If you think that you enjoy, the way when you read a book, you talk with an adult, the book you enjoy. That's what simply book talk means. Only that you're not supposed to give out all the whole details.
That's right.
Because if you give out all the whole details, they may not go try to read it again.
Yeah.
Because the objective
Really
is to bring them to read. When we read, we talk about the books.
Yeah. Something just occurred to me. Do you, obviously, when they're doing this, they need functional language like, this book is about, or the main character. Do you also use it as an opportunity to help them, like with the language to explain the books, like language that might be used to summarize or vocabulary to talk about the book? Or
yes, we give them, especially the beginners, we give them like a sentence starters.
Nice.
How to we have, there's something we call story map. Story
cool.
map.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe you have something like this as a way to help
Yes,
them.
we have something like that. With the story map, it's help them to be able to share the story in a way that it's not going to be too difficult for them. We give them sentence starters, adverbs, time adverbs.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's also an opportunity to teach them those things, those elements.
So nice. One thing I've never asked you about, I don't know why, and this is the perfect time to ask you. Have you made any materials that are like stories with chants and songs? Because I love what you do with the language. You really go for, and we've worked together. If you guys don't know, chants that I've written and co-written with Ogba that he's published in Benin in workbooks. We work together. And if you want to talk about that, if we have time, we can talk about that. But there's not really a lot of story elements. And I wonder, have you ever written something? Because I have story songs, but they're mainly higher level. So now I'm curious, about maybe trying to write a rap that's story focused, but for younger learners. Have you ever done anything like that?
Yes, I have written few, not many.
But I haven't seen them. Do you have videos with that, like stories?
You're talking about stories, not songs, right?
No, I'm talking about both. I'm talking about a rap that's like, for example, I have a song called "Get a Life," which is about a boy growing up in a poor neighborhood, and then he went to a university, and then he had problems. His mother got sick, right? So it's very high level English. But like I could write a song like that for a beginner. Or even just a story like. Stuff that we've done with like, school vocabulary. Instead of just the school vocabulary focus, it's more like a story about somebody who went to school one day, this happened, this happened, this happened. Have you written something like that or no?
Yeah, I have written something like that. I have written something like that, like in one of my resources that I designed for EFA.
Okay, I want to look at that later.
Find some of them.
Because I'm the reason I say that is like more and more when I write songs, I'm gravitating to a story approach in the song, and so I'm writing a lot, but they're mainly higher level, middle school, high school. So I'm thinking, hey, why not have more? Because it's like in context. Like it's great if we're talking about here is the principal's office, here is the pencil, but. Could I write something that it's more of like a little story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end? I don't know. Yeah, might be interesting to experiment.
Yes, I have did something like that, but not really much.
Okay.
Not much.
Yeah, could be interesting. It could be interesting, and then it could get also into.
I of course I write also some. I have seen my songs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you froze for a second there, but now it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking also with gestures, then it can really be TPR instead of just a gesture for like the object. If in the story it's like the person's going to school, walking to school. Getting on the bus, getting off the bus. It could also be gestures for the story. Like during the story, then it's more TPR, right? Total physical response storytelling. Anyway, this guy, I have so many ideas I want to do with this guy, and
we are already doing that. We are doing that already. You are writing, and I'm performing. Remember, you have sent some songs, like she brushes her teeth, she rinses her mouth. She washes her hair with
yeah. I see all that. I'm not saying I'm not saying stop doing that. I'm looking at like a different, like doing something else you could do, right? Because I think that stuff is really important, especially beginners. Like, but let's say they learn that vocabulary, right? Morning routines, perfect example, right? So talking about like the brushing teeth, I agree. But then it could be cool. Like I would be motivated to write a song about a person doing their morning routine. So it's more like a story. Incorporating the vocabulary. Anyway, I'll tell you. I'll show you what I mean more when I see you. Yeah. But I think both are approaches are really good. And, it depends. But I want to ask you about video. A little bit. So the other thing I want to do when I'm with you is I want to, if possible, record my part of the video. We did a song. The song is called Free Access to Books. And so I really want to finish this song and video with you about. So hopefully we can do that when I'm there. We'll see if we have the opportunity or not. What about video? Like, I know you make videos sometimes of the kids performing. Is that a learning tool also, like a motivational tool? They like to see themselves on video, or it's not so important? I can imagine how videos could be good for teacher training, where teachers who, you know, weren't there when you did it could see what you do. So just what purpose does video have? Is it important or not so important?
Okay, the video I'm doing now, I'm doing those videos for teachers, because at my center here, I also have teachers that are coming here to learn this method.
Okay.
So I mean, gestures, reading, writing, all these things are incorporated in a program. So what I do is, when I make this video, when the teachers come here, I share this video with teachers to show them what I mean by performing with gestures. Because some of the teachers, they are not staying in Cotonou here. Some of them are staying very far from the north part of this country. So, and which is very difficult for them to come here,
right,
to follow the training. So I made the videos. Some of the videos that you have seen, I shared on social media. Is the video that I make these videos, I kind of keeping it there, so that whenever they will need it, they will have to go and see how they can use gestures. It's because that they are telling me that those videos are helping them. That is why I decided to keep making more. I want to put all the songs in video. I want to put all the songs in video for future use.
Yeah.
You know, for future use.
Yeah.
Now, as we are growing older, we are also losing strength. It will get a stage where we are not going to have all this strength to do all this. So the teachers in those during those years will be able to see how it was done and see how they can also improve what they are doing.
Yeah,
it's just like a reference material.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering, is there equal value for students who live far from Cotonou, maybe who don't have the classes yet with those great teachers you are trying to create these? Is it possible also on family laptop or mobile phone, they could also watch the videos as kids and repeat? Because there's so much, as we know, there's so much bad stuff on for bad quality material. Like, if maybe if the student sees a classroom with kids doing gestures, they kind of want to do it too.
Yes, as long as it helps both teachers and their students. It helps both teachers and their students, because all those videos are made based on the teaching resources that I created. So when the teachers use it to learn, they are to learn to reproduce. So as they are trying to reproduce, they can also use it to keep their students learning at home, keep them learning at home. Kind of a repetitive pattern, a repetitive strategy to have their students, when we think, she brushes her teeth, she rinses her mouth, because they enjoy it in the class, they really enjoy it. So if they happen to see the video in social media, in laptop, or any other place, the children will without resistance try to sing along.
So this makes me think you need to have a television show. You need a TV show. Because what you really need, the reason I think about this is when you say things like, if they happen to see the video in social media, this is the problem. If they happen to see, right? It should not be like that. It should be something where you with a little studio with a green screen, and you have three kids here, three kids here,
Mm.
and you know they are like the performers, right? And it's
Oh.
very easy to see what they're doing.
Mm.
You know, captions on the screen.
Mm.
This is what needs to happen. I mean, you know,
Yes.
again,
Actually.
if a leader, educational leader, ministry, whatever, was really committed to having English become a tool for
Mm.
the future, for jobs, and for this is what you
Mm.
do, right? You put it on TV.
Yes. Yes. You put it on TV. You put it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very great. That would be very great. If I happens to have the resources, the
Mm.
equipment to do it to that level, that would be very great.
I mean, it's something I would like
It
to.
had been in my mind to do that, but here, we just try to do what is possible using our phone.
No, of course,
What is
but you know,
possible.
something maybe to talk about with Vito. Shout out to Vito at the American Embassy. Something to talk to about GAF. Shout out to Binti, all the teachers, and Binti. Look, I mean, look, and the thing about it, and we can talk about this another time, but I just want to say it here, recording it here. Look, what you do and I do, the cost is very low. I mean, we're talking about, right? Basically a camera, a couple kids doing the gestures and the songs. I mean, so I don't think it's a cost. It's not a production cost issue. It's more somebody feeling like this is needed and we, you know, this to do, because we're not talking about anything more than putting some words on the screen. And like you said, you know, for kids, if it's songs, it doesn't have to be a whole television program with lots of different things. It could just be like a short thing each week or something with songs, right, to start. So I think this is something, it's perfect for a country that maybe doesn't have such developed programs for English and doesn't have so many resources. I think it's the easiest, best solution probably.
Exactly. You are very right. Very, very correct. Very correct.
Yeah. It's
So that is
basically
only.
turning on a camera and having doing, you know, and that's it, you know. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Now I'm
that would be
excited to
great.
return to Benin and see you. We need to stop in a couple of minutes. So, what is there anything I didn't ask you about? And we can always have you back again, of course, another time. But is there
Okay.
anything I didn't ask you about that you think is important for people to know about your work and what you're doing? Please tell me.
I think you have said it all. Regarding my work, like what I said, I'm a teacher, trainer, and a resources creator, and I'm also I'm learning e-commerce as well.
Right. And is there a connection? Let's talk about that. Is there a connection between them, or is it entirely separate, doing e-commerce and education?
I can say partly, not totally,
Okay.
not totally, yeah, because there are also programs, very good programs that you can get online. I'm proposing to people online. You see, it's also it's e-commerce too.
Right.
It's e-commerce. Like let's take your program for example. Like your new app, your new program is just relevant, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You mean I'm talking about your program?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the name of the program? You just produce a relevant.
The company, the app is called Relevant Skills, and
Relevant.
we're doing English teaching and other what we call
Okay.
climbs, basically online courses. Yeah, with the app.
Okay. If I take a program like this, I can become a marketer.
Yeah.
I mean, reselling it to schools, teachers.
Right.
Those who are going
It's
to
very
use it.
interesting.
So
it's more like
it's also an e-commerce.
right, and it's basically any area, right? You could do education and e-commerce.
Yes.
You could do this
Yes.
and right. So that's maybe how you could connect them. And you have the sales background with the books, so I can see like the business side and running your own center and stuff. So I can see your interest in both, and that's really great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking to you about that as well. Wow, great. And what about if people want to see your work and want to see what you're doing? What's the best thing? Is there one website? Is it YouTube, Facebook? Where do you want
Yes,
people? Where should
yes,
people go?
I have YouTube. I have also a website, www.englishbeginners.org.
Okay, so let's make sure everybody hears that. So it's
.org.
www English
Beginner
beginners,
.org.
beginner or beginners?
Beginners.
Beginners. And
Yes,
it's in
yes.
one word, English beginners?
Yes, in one word.
Wow,
W-
that's a great site. You got a great name there. Okay, so www.englishbeginners.org.
Beginners.org.
Great.
Yeah.
And also, guys, Yell Club, if you put that in Facebook or YouTube, you'll see a lot of great stuff pop up too. So that's Yell Club in Cotonou, Benin. And I'm going to be visiting Yell Club.
We are trying to kind of using pleasure reading to teach English language. That is, we are trying to combine both reading English language.
And you know what I do? Pleasure listening. You know, but if you're doing pleasure listening with lyrics, you're doing pleasure reading.
Exactly.
So you know, that's why we're basically doing the same things, just coming in different ways sometimes.
Exactly.
So excited to work with you more. Thank you so much, Ogba, for being here.
Thank you,
as our featured teacher for July, and yeah, see you in Cotonou, Benin in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meet you.
Yeah, me too. So I'm
after 2 years. Yeah. After like 2 years now, we met.
I know it's too long, too long. And COVID and everything else, but I'm excited to whatever you have in mind to do. I'm there, man. So just start thinking how you could use me for things, and I'm going to think of ideas I want to talk to you about. And thank you so much. Really great to chat with you like this. Yeah, really nice. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I enjoy so much.
Good. Pleasure for me too. Thank you. If you were here live, thanks for being live. If you were if you're watching the recording asynchronously, thank you so much for supporting American TESOL Institute and me, your host, Fluency MC. We'll be back with another featured teacher in August, so look out for that. August 15th, we're planning it now, and it's another interesting teacher. Well, we always try to bring you the most interesting teachers. So take care, everybody, wherever you are around the world. English language teachers. Bye-bye. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.